So myself, Shenbagaprabhu, as Madam introduced, I am working with Alkan Surgical. So I take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitudes towards Leica and Arvind Group of Hospitals. So whatever it is, this presentation going to do good. It's all because of teachings of ophthalmology fraternity and their blessings. So as Dr. Warrenhill says, an instrument is only good as the person using it. If you see, consider a pencil also equipment. So whether you are going to draw a beautiful picture or end up something like this, it's all depends upon us only. So if you good enough to use the tool properly, we can get master out of it. So coming back to slide, so setting up a biometry equipment is a very critical process actually, because in this biometry process only, we are going to determine the appropriate power for the intraocular lens that is going to implanted during the surgery. So the flow of the presentation consists of how to arrange the biometry equipments and room lighting conditions and power supply and cleanliness and hygiene and patient identification and importance of understanding the clinical background and how well we need to prepare the patients and how to align the patients at the biometry equipment. And we need to understand about the measurements also, because each biometry gives different things. So all these things we are going to look into this presentation, the coming slide. So when it comes to keratometer, it is a basic instrument across all practices we should have actually. So it is used to measure the curvature of the cornea. So here the size of the reflected Myers image are used to calculate the curvature of the anterior cornea. So thereby it converted the curvature into diopter, then used for a IOL calculator. So as it is involved reflection, so the room lighting condition is very much important. So it should avoid direct sunlight or excessive brightness falling either on the patient face or on the keratometer face or on the opticians or the technicians who is going to do. And coming back to power supply, so across all biometry equipments, so we should be provided with the UPS connection as recommended by the manufacturers actually. Then comes to arrangement of biometry equipments. The next optical biometer come into play is like where we understand about the we get the measurements in terms of axial length, corneal curvature, various parameters. So these parameters also need to have similar lighting conditions like a keratometer. So in addition to that, we need to maintain proper temperature and humidity, and the room elevation should be properly maintained actually. So it should not be free from any vibrations or sudden movements, because these equipments contains various moving parts actually. So it has to be calibrated before that actually. So if any sudden movement, it needs to calibrate again. So in order to get the best result out of it, we need to maintain as per the manufacturer recommendations. And of course, we need to have a competency level also. The technician who is going to handle is needs to be well trained, and he is to employ proper technique, and skill has to be improved actually. With all these features only, we can get best out of the machine. Then comes the A-scan actually. A-scan is also one of the vital equipment, as it based on sound velocity to understand the axial length, because sometimes what happens when because of the light opacity, lens opacity, the optical biometry will become a challenge. So in those cases, A-scan will be a critical part of it. So A-scan rooms has to be well lit room with a diffused light, and this instrument has to be used only after the using all the other equipments like a keratometer or a optical biometer. This has to be the last equipments to use, because it involves some amount of corneal compressions. So the following measurements will affect it actually. That's why it has to be in the last instrument in the optical biometer. So when it comes to operating technician, he should have a well-trained and proper technique has to be employed. Now comes to the cleanliness and hygiene. So as it involves patients, so before from one patient to another patient, within every patient measurement, we need to gently wipe down with the external surface like a chin rest, forehead rest, and wherever the patient touching area are there. In terms of disinfection or cleaning the optics and all, we need to follow the individual manufacturing guidance, because each device having different requirements. And it is very much important to understand the patient identification, whether our facilities having a EMR or not, but we need to understand the patient's information, and we always need to cross-check with the name and MR number. So, and the next big thing is we need to know is refraction details. With this, we can understand whether the patient is myopic or hyperopic, so that we can look forward for the reading, what the axial length will be. So all those data can be, we can get the clue out of the refraction details itself. So similarly, we need to sometimes having a biometry history also very much valid for patients like a post LVC or a mature cataract, or recently some complication come across. So these are the details are very much important. And for an optical biometer, it is very much important to give conditions like a lens state, vitreous state, and ICL implanted. So all those informations are very much important. So this information only decides our next course of action. So when it comes to prepare the patient preparation, so we need to brief about the procedures in a simple terms to the patient, where the patient can easily understand actually. When they understand, they can cooperate actually. We need to tell what we are expecting out of the process and what we are looking forward from them. So it has to be in a very simple language actually. Like there will be a red light will be there. When I say you need to open wide your eyes, something simple things we need to tell priorly itself, so that they can work in tandem with us actually. And when it comes to installing drops, it has to be well in advance, because this thing will directly affect the measurements values. And we need to avoid performing biometry after any applanation tonometry or gonioscopy. Any corneal intensive process we should avoid. Of course, we are not going to use the glasses with the measurement on, and we need to take enough care for hard and soft contact lenses. So if proper resting period is given or not. And if dry eye is there, we need to treat it if possible. So we need to encourage always the patient for blinking before and after the keratometry instrument. Suppose some patients are fast blinkers or very slow blinkers, we can change our instructions according to the patients, because well naturally lubricated cornea can give better Myers, which is essential for good readings. Then comes to biometry equipment table and patient chair. As most of the optical biometers supplied the height adjustable table, we need to focus on the patient chair only. The patient chair should be height adjustable. It should be well balanced and give confidence to aged patients to sit comfortably, because they are going to fixate the eye. So they need to comfortably sit. And the patient chair height and the machine chair height has to be adjusted so that the eye level is properly maintained for the better ergonomics without any neck fatigue and all. Then comes to the head alignment. So here if you see, the patient have a steep axis of 130 to 35 degree is shifted to 155 degree for the same patient. The reason is the tilting of the head actually. So how to avoid this? So before taking any measurement, after a final alignment of the patient, we need to move our joystick from left to right or right to left. We need to look for the exposure in both eyes. If there is a deviation in among the eyes, then we need to adjust the head of the patient, by which we can address the head tilting actually. And avoiding this head tilting is very much important for toric IOL. So the steep axis has to be matched among the various instruments within 3.5 degree. That's what's recommended actually. Then comes to chin rest actually. So every machine, whether it is manual or automatic, every machine will provide us with the eye level in a marking, separate marking, and we need to adjust the chin rest according to the eye level. So the chin rest can be either adjusted by manual or motorized depending upon the equipment. And these steps, all these steps, whatever we discussed, it's reduce your coarse aligned movement, because coarse aligned movement is the process where patient need to see through the light actually. All other process, they can lesserly cooperate with us. So if you do all this process perfectly, that time will be reduced actually, and we can get a very good reading by proper fixating of the patients. So coarse alignment is nothing but how we are using a joystick to get the, with the help of the 2D OCT diagram, we get the reading actually. And suppose what will happen? Suppose sometimes some patients may not fixate properly due to the thick cataracts. They cannot have vision in the eye, which we are going to measure. So we can use the other eye by placing a finger or sticker directly in front of the other eye where the vision is very good. Then we can take the measurement actually. When it comes to measurements, because each optical biometry gives various amounts of variables actually, like axial length, keratometer, total K and all. So as a technician, we should know what is the significance of the variable are used for the IOL calculation formula, because each formula uses different variable. So in earlier SRK2 or T, they may use only axial length and K value. But the latest generation formulas like Barrett, Haggis, Holiday and all, they use more variables. Even the deviation in white to white lens thickness also hamper our result. So we need to look for those values also. Then comes to analyze. I stick to the analyze in terms of patient fixation. So in latest OCTs, they come with the various advantages. Each has its own limitations. But so by understanding the machine properly, we can get best out of it. For example, if you see in this picture, you get a lot of disturbances in the OCT. So it is because of the interferences of eyelashes actually. So that can be very visibly in OCT itself. So the keratometer reading from this measurement will not be good actually. So this can be easily we understand, because what we done mistake was we didn't instruct the patient to wide open while taking the measurements. Then comes to keratometer. So each machine gives the measurement zone varies as per the different machine, and the Myers also keeps on varying. So here in the second picture, if you see for the same patient, because of the mature cataract, the Myers is little acentric actually. But here, if you see, it's perfectly centered because of the pseudophakic actually. So when we measure, there will be a difference in keratometer will be there. So which will definitely imply the changes in IOL power. So these kind of mistakes can be avoided by using a other eye vision actually. If you use the other eye vision properly, then this kind of fixation mistakes can be avoided well in advance. So this setting up a biometry equipment is a first for everything actually. So when we do everything perfectly, then our process for the next job will be half done actually. And last but not least, the intelligence and capability are not enough. There should be a joy of doing something beautiful. It should be there actually, as quoted by Dr. V. Sir. So I am welcoming you everyone to the journey of eliminating needless blindness. So thank you once again.